Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are Podcast Network. This is We Are Bagu Season 1, Episode 5, Bioshock. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, thank you so much. Please go to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give We Are Podcast a like. And if you get a chance, head over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. We're at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at /We Are Podcast. With that said, on to the podcast.
We Are Bagu.
Hey everybody, welcome to We Are Bagu, where we talk Atari, to Steam, and everything in between. This is Duck. I'm here with my co-host,
Ethan.
also known as Dr. Ethan Eastwood, baby.
Oh yeah, baby.
He got that doctorate in the
Not yet, but
video game.
it's in the future.
I said
maybe.
we just lie and say you have it. Let's just lie and say you have it.
But
today, we start with gaming news?
actually, we're jumping right in.
Okay.
We are talking the
Alright.
first Bioshock game.
So we're going to start by being shocked by the bios and going into the bio of the shocking. Ethan really, really wants to talk about Bioshock. So before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about our history. What was the first time you actually saw this game? Anything, gameplay, video, you wanted to play it?
I actually started with this by seeing it on the shelves in game stores. I saw this big dude in a diver suit with a drill in his hand and a big old fist.
Ooh.
And it looked just terrifying. And it was one of those games, it was kind of almost like when I would go to Blockbuster and rent videos and games and all that stuff, I would always walk past all these movies, and somehow I always found my way down the horror aisle. And I would always walk past the original TV series, miniseries of It.
Ooh.
And I remember just seeing that clown, and it was like,
float down here, Georgie.
it was like, I'm kind of interested in that, but
Not sure.
I'm scared as shit. And it was kind of the same thing with this, where I would always walk past it. I'd always see it. I'd see it in the Xbox online store. I'd see it in GameStops and shit. And I'm just kind of like, what the fuck is that? It looks kind of...
So your fear fed your interest of the game.
And it also kept me from playing it for as long as I did.
So you would see it and you'd be like, I really want... No.
It was kind of like a toss-up. Like, I wasn't sure I wanted to try it, but I was intrigued.
Right.
Because... I don't know, it's one of those things I feel like everyone's got that irrational fear of being afraid of drowning. And I knew, just from the fucking cover of the game, it's like, okay, there's going to be some horror shit involved with being underwater.
There's no denying that enclosed spaces is something that me and you... I'm claustrophobic. I don't know if you are. But enclosed spaces... He shook his head yes. Enclosed spaces... Enclosed spaces freak me out. That's why Metroid works so well for me. Same thing with Bioshock, because you are underwater, because you've got the pressure of the sea bearing down on you, that intensity. And we'll get into what really works in this game in a minute, but my first experience was actually with New Gen Gamers. The first group of guys that I actually played video games with were online. You can still see the old videos if you want to check out New Gen Gamers on YouTube. And also we used to do a podcast. First time I saw it, because I didn't have one of the newfangled machines. I didn't have a nice game console. Xbox 360 is what I'm saying, basically. They were playing it. And I was like, what the fuck is that? That looks so cool. First-person shooters was kind of a thing at the time.
Oh, they were huge in the Xbox 360 days.
Right.
I'd say they started getting going the generation before. Man, they fucking took off in the 360 days.
But it was that Art Deco style that really brought me in and made me go like, what the fuck
It's the
is
same
this?
thing, right? The cover is just intriguing. It's so different.
Cool. And you're just like, what is this Big Daddy doing? Like, you didn't even know. All you know it was monstrous and mechanical, but kind of steampunkish, and you were ready to play.
Yeah.
And seeing people play it, I mean, it's fun to watch. That is a fun game because it's so cinematic.
And something else, which we'll touch later on, because I know not everyone has played this game, and I'm going to be nice at the beginning of this. This is going to be very, very spoiler heavy.
Oh.
I'm not going to touch it yet, but it's very spoiler heavy, and I would love to see someone's first playthrough of this game, especially when they get to the part that made this game famous.
All right, well, let's talk intro-wise. Do you know a little bit of the history of this game?
Yeah, Bioshock was released in 2007. It's a first-person shooter game developed by 2K Boston, who later became Irrational Games and a bunch of other 2K studios. And this was the first entry in a 3-part series. This game was heavily inspired by Ayn Rand and objectivism as a whole, specifically her book Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged. You had to read it in school. You remember?
I actually have not read Atlas Shrugged, but I read Anthem, and I would still say all of her books, if they're anything like Anthem, they definitely played in heavy to this game. And it's that very much you are your own person. Society and you benefit from you being able to take advantage of your own potential. It's very much a self-centered style of belief.
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps kind of thing.
Yeah, no one else is going to help you. You got to pull yourself up.
Shit, dude. I say that to people all the time. I'm like, no one's coming to save you. You need to realize this. And I'm telling you all right now, no one is coming to save you. Mm-hmm. Save yourself. And that's all you can do. Because if you're waiting for a hero, I need a hero!
And this game plays so heavily into that.
But there is a hero. And
but there also isn't.
It's true. That's true. I'll give you that. And I got shivers and I got cold chills.
Okay, so this is your warning. From this point forward, there are going to be a fuck ton of spoilers for the first Bioshock game. If you actually give a fuck, then please leave now. Or just come back later.
Or just listen to it. It's going to be a good time.
Or just fucking fuck it. You don't care.
So this game had a long development history, starting back with System Shock 2, a PC game, which is a sequel to a pretty simple game. But System Shock 2 was known as pushing the limits of PC hardware and doing something different by creating a very cinematic, very enthralling, and very immersive, that's the word, game where people not only felt like they were in, I think it was a space station. I can't remember how System Shock worked.
I actually haven't played System Shock, so I don't know anything about those games.
But the big thing was the AI baddie of that game was so mean and dangerous and just scary to people that really brought them into that world. And they wanted to make a spiritual sequel to this game with Bioshock, and eventually they did get there, but it was a long, long road to make it. Ken Levine, who is the god of video games, everyone loves Ken Levine.
Yep.
He is the main godhead of Bioshock, at least the first one and the third one. I'm not sure how involved he was with Bioshock 2, but Bioshock 1 and Infinite, those are his babies, and he took them very seriously, and he wanted to get them right. The game itself was released, and you said, what?
2007.
2007.
So it's a little bit of an older game by today's standards, but even 13 years later, this game still looks gorgeous. I'm talking even the original not the remaster. Yeah. And the remaster, oh fuck, dude, it looks bloody brilliant.
I played it recently for a couple hours, and I was shocked by how quickly. Now, I love Bioshock. Bioshock is one of my favorite storyline games of all time. And on top of that, the immersion, like we talked about, I really feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm in
become the
Rapture.
Character. 100%.
Yeah, I am. What's his name? Jack?
Yes.
I am Jack. I become that character. From the second the plane goes down until I get onto that lighthouse, until I go down in, totally just creeping in. And what I was thinking earlier is one of the biggest things that works, and we can talk about everything individually, the lighting. Bioshock's
that really
lighting,
makes all the difference.
It changes everything because it's so ambient and it's so sinister, and the shadows that are literally on the wall, they use shadows to great effect. You know, from when you see the girl looking in the carriage talking to what you think is the baby, and then you go up and
it's your first gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And it's such a weird way to walk into rooms. You're not sure what's around every corner. And the truth is there might be a splicer around every corner. You never know. Mm-hmm. And it's just that fear that it builds. Now, you get desensitized to the splicers after a while.
But then the game pulls you back in. The game does a really great job of constantly keeping you on your toes, even when you become desensitized to things. Because it's always adding new things, bringing something new to the table every chapter. As well as the enemies, they eventually start to evolve as well, and new threats and new challenges, and it's really well put together. So I went back and I played through this game as well. I became so obsessed with this game again, I 100%ed it. Like, I went through Survivor difficulty, no Vita chamber whatsoever, and fucking got every achievement for this game. So you within the span of like 2 weeks.
You became the big daddies, what you're saying. You went beast mode. You got out your drill hand and you had your little, come on, little sister! And you were going out there and defeating that shit.
Dude.
Totally down.
I tore that fucking game up. The only achievements I don't have, the last challenge room, and I'm still working on those. But yeah, I fucking got the platinum trophy for it.
Fuck you, Andrew Ryan. He's coming for you. Hard. Yeah, let's talk about the storyline of the game, and then we'll get into some of the gameplay aspects of it. This game begins kind of, I would say, like an amnesia storyline. You don't know much about your character. Are we spoiling already?
Yep. Okay. So at the very beginning, though, this is the one and only time you will hear him speak.
Jack.
I think really helps push the game along and immerse you is you hear him speak at the beginning. You're kind of like, okay, what the fuck is he talking about? And it shows him on a plane, nothing out of the normal. He's smoking a cigarette. And then...
It's the 1920s. Well, is it 1920s or 1950s? What is it?
1950s.
Okay.
I believe the game takes place sometime after New Year's 1959. Okay. I want to say it's, just shortly after that.
And so you see, I was going to say Booker DeWitt. That's a different game. You see Jack, which we haven't given away the spoiler twist. You see Jack on the plane, and the plane goes down.
You hear it go down.
You hear it. And you start in the water, looking up, drowning, and boy, that is some scary shit.
Dude, the fucking game starts with a plane crash. Like, you're sitting there, everything's good, and then you're like...
And then you float to the top. Well, you see the plane going down in the water.
If you sit there and wait, the plane will actually go all the way down and disappear.
Oh, dude, it's in my head replaying it right now. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's nighttime. The fuel from the plane is leaked out, and the fire's burning on the open sea. There's nothing but water around you, except one thing. A little lighthouse with a staircase going up and a big door.
Right. And you got to get through the fire and the flames and get to that lighthouse. And the game pretty much starts immediately once you go through the true introduction. When you go down into the biosphere and you float down and you get to see Rapture. And I'm telling you, watch a comparison between the 360 and the HD release of that biosphere traveling. It is one of the coolest differences. You'll see all the cool shit that they added to the game.
It's gorgeous.
Jellyfish, starfish, little Mr. Krabs running around. It's awesome.
And can we talk about Andrew Ryan's speech there? I mean, dude, that sets the tone for the whole game. I am Andrew Ryan.
Welcome to Rapture. I can't remember.
No, that's the name of the chapter, though. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
Yeah.
No, says the man in Washington. It belongs to the poor.
Oh, that's
no,
right.
says the man in the Vatican. It belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow. It belongs to everyone. I rejected those philosophies, and I chose the impossible. I chose Rapture.
And then
it shows you the whole fucking city. It's just, oh my God.
And on top of
so
that,
cool.
You float through and you see some big daddies fixing some stuff. It just builds.
It does a great way of teasing where all you're going to go, and the setting of the city. Yeah, the fucking big daddies.
It's epic, dude. The whole thing is epic. And then once you land, what happens is a dark room. And you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, you hear radio chatter, these two people talking back and forth.
And then they're like, we got to get them out of this biosphere or whatever it is. And then the splicers show up. And all you see is the silhouettes at first. So you're like, what are these humans doing? Well, they're humans, but they're more. They've been augmented. And you don't see it at first, but when you get your first look at the splicer, you're like, what the fuck?
Dude, and that fucking spider splicer just totally skewers that dude and splatters the front of the bathysphere with blood, and then she's trying to scrape it and bang it on it and get in. Yeah. It's just things are exploding around you, the thing's shaking. Oh, it is the best introduction in gaming history.
And then you meet your buddy. You get your little walkie-talkie recorder. What is it? What is his name?
Atlas, the shortwave radio.
Yeah, with the shortwave. And then Atlas...
Would you kindly pick up the shortwave radio?
Exactly. And would you kindly follow this? Would you kindly follow that? Would you kindly? And that's where the game begins. And what's cool is, like you were saying before, the story, which we're talking heavily about, it introduces each big area and each big baddie. And the recorders that are around, those are the true story-giving elements. Like, you can see the walls, sometimes there's stuff written on them, and sometimes you'll have characters that say things that pertain to it. Splicers say stuff.
Oh, dude, the environment itself tells as much story as the
recordings. But the recordings are great because you'll still be going around the environments, and then you'll hit the button, and then play the recording, and that really helps you piece together what's going on, too. So you have both.
It tells you why this corpse is here and why they're, skewered the way they are, whatever. It's fucking detailed.
And also, every person that you kill, you can scavenge. You can try to see if they got money or alcohol or ammo. God knows what. Yeah. Whatever they have. So every single corpse, you get to go up and you get a good look at them, and then you hit the button real quick, and then you grab whatever they got. And it's usually 3 slots stuff, and then you run. So the big areas in the game, the first bad guy is the doctor who actually has...
Dr. Steinman, yes, and he is medical pavilion.
And he has went crazy, and he's looking for perfection within humanity. But within that, aesthetically, he's looking for more. And he's actually, making these people deformed in a way that they look crazy. And that's what every single splicer that you see throughout the game, every single baddie, if it's not a robot of some sort, it is a deformed person. And that's so fucking crazy. It's almost like they would be zombies, but they're not. They're amped up on Adam. And they're amped up, and they're just, they think they're normal, and they think they're beautiful, but it's like an illusion.
And the first instance where you come into contact with Adam, too, that whole scene is just as crazy as the beginning of the game.
So go into that.
Literally, after you get out of the bathysphere, you walk down this hallway, pick up your wrench, and you're finally armed. You go into this room, kill a splicer, and you're blocked by this door. You can't open it. It won't open. There's no switch, no nothing. You turn around and can go up these stairs, and there's this little jar just sitting there for you. And of course, it's shimmering and shining. I don't think there's any voice lines there.
I want to pick it up.
Yeah, they're tempting you to pick it up. In my opinion, I think there should have been a voice line there. But again, you don't really need it because there's nowhere else for you to go.
So it's about the experience
and
at that point.
You pick it up. I guess Jack's first thought is to, syringe. The very first ability you get is Electrobolt. lightning at your fingertips.
And which can be used to stun enemies and also to open doors and...
Any other electronical components, you can just zap it and it either fries it or...
Can you zap the spy cams and the
Yes.
robots? I never did that. Well, I guess I did, yeah, for the flying drones.
I
guess,
had to use the fuck out of that.
Yeah, because that's how you get them to fall to the ground.
For my brass balls run, I had to fucking use the shit out of that.
So let's, real quick, we've already brought up the subject. We're kind of jumping around. But the drones, whenever you take control of them or you take control of the security cameras or the vending machines or things like that, there are assists in a way. But there's a mini game that is implied in this game, maybe way too much.
Do you like the hacking in this game?
Do I like Pipe Dreams from 1983? Do I like playing it over and over and over?
Because you fucking
and
will.
Over and over.
Yeah, it gets really overplayed.
Until you get hack tools, where you can hack the machine so you don't have to play the fucking Pipe Dreams.
Yeah, you just hack them instantly.
Now, I think the second game implemented it way better with just the little needle and then you land on the spot. This game, and I like Pipe Dreams, don't get me wrong, it's fun to play, but it's not fun to play.
When you're in a pinch, it's really annoying because you just want to hack this thing and then hop over to this other thing and hack it, and it just eats up time.
And I end up using the hack tool half the time or buying a shit ton of them so I don't have to play Pipe Dreams.
Now, after you get the research camera in the second chapter, I think this is after you build up your research with a electrical device like a drone or a camera enough, but I got to the point where I could literally walk up to a gun turret, hit square, and it was hacked instantly.
Ooh! I never used the research camera. What does it do?
I had to do it for the achievement. So it'll give you bonus plasmids, so secret abilities that you can only get by researching subjects up to certain points. Like, you can get the Houdini Splicer camouflage where you stand still, you turn invisible.
Oh, nice.
It's fucking awesome. There's a lot of cool shit. But the big draw to using the research camera is that the first, middle, and last tier of researching a subject, which takes a long fucking time, you get damage boosts to them.
Damn.
So you can get up to the point where you can kill a Rosie, a Big Daddy, super easily.
Nice. Back to the robots, though.
The drones?
The flying drones, the security cameras, the vending machines and stuff like that. Especially the drones, though. Do you usually try to have a drone with you? Do you usually have to, like, if it's flying, or do you find they get in the way? Because sometimes they do get in the way.
They do. Most of the time I try to keep two on me if they're available.
You can have two?
You can have at most two.
Oh,
yes.
Bro, I didn't know that.
There's actually a room at the end of the game where you're running around. I think it's at the part where you're running around trying to get the parts to become a Big Daddy. Spoiler, by the way.
Oh, yeah, big spoiler.
But,
fun.
Yeah, there's a room with like 4 of these just sitting on the ground, and you can hack 2 of them. I tried to hack all of them.
Yeah.
And it only let me do 2.
Well, let's talk about the baddies throughout the levels. The first one you deal with is Dr. Steinman.
Dr. Steinman.
All right.
Yep. The second one, I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
The second area, what's after medical? Neptune's Bounty. That's Peach Williams, I think.
The botanical place? Is that
Yeah,
the
the fish. Where it's the big room where it's frozen and the guy's just hucking grenades at you.
Oh, that's so cool. Though.
And he takes away all your weapons.
Yeah.
Which we'll step on that in a second. After that is Arcadia, which is a defend the base type thing. Fort Frolic, which you can choose to fight the boss there or not. Sander Cohen. You can fight him there or you can fight him later. Okay, after that you go to Hephaestus, which is where you face Andrew Ryan. There's not really a boss fight there,
but
that's the climax of the game.
That's the big twist, and then after that you have to fight final boss, which is the big Silver Surfer looking
until you fight Atlas.
Atlas himself. Because Atlas isn't everything you think he is. So, kind of going back, though, to the beginning, the game teaches you as you go. And that's one of my favorite things about this game is, like, it's a slow build. It takes a good couple hours before you actually know how to use everything.
It does a really good job of teaching you that your plasmids are multi-use. So not only do they have a combat function, but they also have a function in the environment as well.
Right.
You can electrocute water and fry enemies in there, not even have to fucking deal with them, or open doors, or stun enemies, or this, or that, and it does a really good job of that.
And not only that, but the environments actually lean towards it, because like you said about the ice, like once you get the fire...
Yeah, it's incinerate, fire at your fingertips.
So you start to melt the ice in the rooms, and that brings things to light. What are the other ones? You get
there's lightning? A bunch of them, dude. You eventually get telekinesis, target dummy, sonic boom, and a bunch of other stuff, and there's actually some completely optional plasmids that you can get throughout the game, but the major ones, for the most part, they have multi-functions, like incinerate or electrobolt or something like that.
Does this one have the bees?
Yes.
The bees!
What's horrible, though? It's such a cool plasmid, but it's so damn useless.
No, dude, I use the bees all the time, and every time I chuck it at people, I'll be like, the bees! Not the bees! I love the bees, dude. That's one of my favorites.
I did a hardcore playthrough of the game, and from a functionality standpoint, I used it maybe twice.
Isn't it like you have to use it in one spot in the game, though? It's required,
no,
isn't it?
That's the thing, man, is it's one of the coolest plasmids in the game, because all of these plasmids you see, they contort the way your hand looks. So when you have the Electro Bolt in your hand, you literally have lightning and sparks coming out of your fingertips. Your arm is on fire when you're using Incinerate. You have bees and wasps crawling out of your hand when you're using Insect Swarm. Why do you have bees crawling out of your hand?
The bees!
The bees!
It's the left hand, right, that has the plasmid.
Yeah, it's all in the left hand.
And
now,
then,
I'm curious if he can do it in the right. I'm sure he probably could if he wanted to.
Well, the right hand's saved for the
primary weapons.
For the primary weapons. So we got the wrench. We've got the pistol. We've got the shotgun. We've got the Gatling gun. Like, it just gets more and more. What's the biggest form of gun you can get?
The chemical thrower, I think, is one of the last weapons you get.
Ooh, what's that do? I don't even remember that one.
No?
Yeah.
It can literally be a flamethrower, a electricity gun where it just shoots a bolt of electricity, or you can use it to freeze enemies.
Now, what's important, though, to mention is you can only use the plasmids.
Oh, crossbow. Crossbow is also the last weapon you get.
Oh, it's got the tripping.
The tripwire ones that just electrocute the shit out of you.
But you can only use your plasmids or your weapons. You can't dual wield. This game doesn't provide the ability to do that.
I think that brought a good balance to them, and I really liked that you were able to very quickly use both a Eve Hypo to refill your plasmids as well as a health pack, which is something they took away in the second game. And I really don't like that.
I am a fan of the second game, but we are talking about the first game.
No, I love the second game.
I love the second game, but the first game is a better game, and I will say that, and I know that, and I can see that. There's themes in the second game, but this game also has a theme that I absolutely adore. So let's talk real quick about the Big Daddies and the Little Sisters, and how that impacts this game. Yeah. So at certain points, you'll come across a Big Daddy.
When you enter a new area for the first time, if you hit pause, you'll notice these little icons on the bottom of your pause menu. And most of the time, there's 2 or 3 of them. Sometimes I think there's one level where there's 4. But that represents Big Daddies guarding Little Sisters in the area.
So you know by looking at your map how many you're going to have to fight.
And which have already been taken care of.
If you want to fight them, isn't it totally optional? Or do you need...
Yeah, you do not have to go through this game and save a single Little Sister.
Right.
You don't have to kill the Big Daddy to get to the Little Sister in this game at all. You could ignore it.
And the opening scene where you see the Big Daddy, Little Sister dynamic, where you're crawling over the rafters of the room, and it's a very elaborate room, almost like a theater. I think there's a stage even.
Yeah, it's a stage.
And you crawl over the rafters, and somebody's talking to you. And is it the woman who's talking to you at that point?
No, it's Atlas. He's saying, just hang on.
Yeah.
Would you kindly put your weapon down? You need to chill out.
And you get on the other side of a window, and you get to see a glass wall. You get to see into this room, and you see a splicer go up and try to get the Little Sister. Cry, little sister.
And then she fucking starts screaming. A Big Daddy jumps down from the rafters where you just were.
That's a Big
and
Daddy.
Literally rams his drill into this guy. You see his guts flying all over the place.
And he falls through the glass.
Yeah, he throws him into the window, and then they just walk on like nothing happened.
And I walk up and steal all this shit real quick. And then you get to see that violence, and you get to see the dynamic of the Little Sister and the Big Daddy.
They make it very clear you have to go through the Big Daddy to get to the Little Sister.
Rightfully so. It's the dad on the porch with the shotgun, evidently, kind of scenario. But that's intriguing. So when you see that, you're like, holy shit, she's got a guardian. But eventually you find out there's something wrong with these little girls. They're possessed. They look wrong.
You can even see that when you get down there before the splicer walks up and finds her. She looks demented. They've got those yellow eyes, and she's in there fucking stabbing this corpse and singing.
Yeah. She's just like, look at this angel, Mr. Bubbles. And you're like, what the fuck?
I see light in his belly.
What the fuck is going on? And she looks like Reagan from The Exorcist. Like she's about ready to
split it's fucking crazy.
Split pea soup everywhere. So the dynamic, let's kind of jump into that though. If you fight a Big Daddy, those battles can be epic and terrifying.
Dude.
But strategy can be used in a way. You have all these things at your disposal.
You've got all the stuff that you've hacked. The turrets, the bots, the cameras. You've got your plasmids. You've got the different weapons and ammo types. There's a lot of stuff
you're going in stacked and racked, ready to roll.
What's fucking awesome, too, is you can even pit other enemies against these things.
Yes, you can. I forgot all about that. You can send the splicers after them.
Yeah.
Because you can hypnotize them.
I think you can hypnotize the Big Daddy, or you can use the plasmid called Enrage, where you can just throw it and they'll start attacking whatever in sight. And
amazing.
In the world, you'll find splicers that are trying to attack a Big Daddy, and that Big Daddy is programmed to kill anything that tries to hurt him.
But that's part of the story, because everyone's trying to get to what the little sisters have. Which is
Adam, bro.
Adam. That's what they want. They want the Adam.
Fistful of lightning you got earlier. Yeah. You can upgrade that, and there's other ways you can modify yourself, but you have to go through the Big Daddy to get to the little sister to get the Adam to do it.
And it gives you what makes this game so good, makes this storyline work so well. It gives you the choice. Let's say you defeat the Big Daddy. Mr. Bubbles is dead.
There are 2 buttons you can hit. You can hit X or triangle, and whatever you're playing on.
And the X is going to be
harvest,
and the triangle
or rescue.
Okay, so you have a choice here. Now, there's a character that pops in. What's her name? Tenenbaum?
Yep, Dr. Tenenbaum.
Dr. Tenenbaum.
She says there's another way to save them because Atlas is trying to coerce you into harvesting them. But he does not, at any point in the game, say, would you kindly harvest that little sister?
Which is important.
And that is very, very key.
It's very important. Now, Tenenbaum is a character that is hidden for most of the game, but she was the keeper of the little sisters.
She was the one that led the whole research project behind developing them and integrating them with that sea slug that actually
is the Adam.
Yeah.
So there was a hybrid. The sea slug is almost like a parasite, but it feeds to the little sister and it bonds them and needs them.
I think they said it's implanted in their stomachs or something, and it feeds and creates that Adam based on what they do to those corpses and what they absorb out of them.
So whenever you either harvest or rescue, which you better rescue, you son of a bitch.
So I got a question for you, Doug. On your first playthrough, did you rescue all of them?
No, I didn't. I harvested. I said, you know what? Let's do a 50-50. These little girls are creepy. I ain't playing with this shit. Let's see what happens. But I felt guilty. And I think that's important because even though it was a game, I felt connected to it, and I was like, man, I shouldn't have done that. Hey, everyone, it's just Duck jumping in here real quick to say thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you're enjoying it, please head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, and give We Are Podcast a like. And if you get a chance, head over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /We Are Podcast. And if you're enjoying the podcast today, please share with your friends. It's the only way we can grow this network. With that said, back to the podcast.
I have done, I think, 3 or 4 playthroughs of this game, and I have never once harvested a little sister.
You're a good guy.
So,
you're a good guy.
What does that animation even look like?
It looks like a sea slug. That's it. I think it does like the same thing where you wipe her. It sounds weird saying, but you caress your hand across her forehead. She's like, no, stop. And then when it flashes out, it's just a sea slug, basically. The little girl's gone.
Oh, wow.
It's not cool because it's better if you rescue them because
then they're standing there going, thank you.
And then they find their way
off
to one of the
They look normal. They look healthy.
Yeah, and they run off to one of the little portholes and jump into it and disappear. And it's pretty cool. And you feel like you did something good and then, you have a good night. But otherwise, it's a shitty feeling. And that's what I'm saying. You're a good guy. You're a good guy. You're a good guy.
You're a good guy.
Dr. Ethan Eastwood, you're a going Duck over here was, going,
yeah, fuck it, 50-50, we save half of it.
I need a little more Adam. I need a little more power.
But that's the thing, though, is if you start saving them, you are set back a little bit at first.
Right.
But after you save the first 3, you're getting more Adam than you would if you just harvest them.
I agree with you. And honestly, it's worth it to get the good ending. And that's the period.
Oh,
the period.
Dude, it's such a good ending.
But we'll talk about that when we get there.
So the next, you go through, you kill Dr. Steinman, you get introduced to Tenenbaum, the Big Daddies, and you go through and you take care of them.
And that voice for Tenenbaum, man, that is a very motherly, very kind voice. So you got this Atlas who's like your bro.
Atlas has he's got that Irish accent, and he's talking to you like this.
And he's very like, would you kindly do this? I can't do an Irish accent, evidently.
No, would you kindly? Yeah.
It's very good, and he sounds like he's your buddy. You want to be on his side. You want to save him. And then you get Tenenbaum, and it's very motherly, and you can tell there's sorrow there and sadness, and she did the wrong thing for the right reasons, and now she's trying to do the right thing. Maybe for the wrong reasons?
Now, do you think that her having a German accent like she does, do you think they did that to try to make you feel like she was a bad guy.
Are you asking, did they do it to turn me on, Ethan? Because I was turned on.
Okay. While you were turned on, did you think she was a bad guy, or did you...
I think that plays into it, definitely. Yeah. And also, I think they were trying to turn me on. I'm going to say it again.
There you go.
I was rock hard the entire game.
So the second area, after Medical Pavilion, you finally make it to Neptune's Bounty, and you're working your way towards, I guess it's the submarine bay or something, trying to
Because you're trying to save Atlas.
Atlas and his family.
Exactly. And then, boosh! Big explosion. Oh.
Nope, not yet.
Oh, okay.
You got a boss fight first. There's a couple scenes in there with Andrew Ryan and whatnot, but then you go into the boss fight with Peach Williams after you get the research camera and more Big Daddies, more splicers.
Well, let's talk about that real quick.
I believe his name is Peach Williams, but the final boss in Neptune's Bounty before you go to the submarine bay and before Atlas's family, quote unquote, gets blown away. This was one of my favorite boss fights in the game because it takes place in, I think, a big freezer. And before you can go in, he takes away all your weapons. He makes you put your wrench, your pistol, your shotgun, your Tommy gun, all of that in the
deposit box or whatever it is.
And the only thing you can go in with is your plasmids.
Right.
And so they make it very clear, okay, you need to be packing some heat when you go in.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's a good idea to do that quite literally, too. Because you go in and you can use your incinerate plasmid to burn through a lot of the ice and stuff. And it's not a terribly difficult boss fight. You can go in and hack the turrets and hack the cameras and shit, and he pretty much just gets fucked up anyways. But he goes around throwing these grenades at you, and as doors open up, other splicers will run in, and you can pick up their weapons and shit and start using it against him. And I just thought that was a really, really clever mechanic in the game that they played with, because I don't know about you, but at that point, I was pretty much more relying on my weapons than it was my plasmids.
Yeah.
Because you burn through these quick.
And it teaches you to use those to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, don't save it.
On a second or third playthrough, and I think you brought up a good point, the first playthrough, you're probably going to go pretty heavy with your ammunition. But the second and third, I'm just throwing lightning,
all the way.
I'm throwing fire, you know what I mean? I'm just chucking shit. Like I said, the bees! I love throwing the bees.
They make you think that your plasmids are going to be hard to come by in the beginning, because kind of towards the beginning it is. The Evos are a little few and far in between, but by the time you get to the end game, dude, you always have like 8 med kits and 12 fucking Evos.
So good, though. Honestly, if you die and you revive in a Vita chamber, Vita chamber? Vita chamber?
Same thing.
PSP Vita chamber, you feel guilty. You feel like, I fucked up. Like, how did I fuck this up? Like, I feel like, man, really, and it's always nice because it's close enough to the battle and you just get back in. But it does, you feel like, man, I messed up. How did I do this? So every revive, you go back in. And that's one thing about this game, too, is there's different ways to play it. You can go in Metal Gear style and try to play it almost like you're sneaking in. And you can take your time and you can walk up to enemies and you can wrench them in the back.
Or you can go guns blazing.
Guns blazing. Everything. And then you got everything on you, plus a drone coming in. It's your choice on how you want to play the game. Yep. And at different points in the game, I play the game differently, depending on the mood I'm in for that room. And you get into it, like, you'll sneak up on people and be like, come on, you little fucker, come on. And, you'll have fun. It's so good. I don't know what to say. It's so good. Andrew Ryan, the entire time, if you got Atlas, your buddy, you got
Who sent you, my friend?
The mother.
The KGB jackal?
You've got...
Or the CIA
Exactly.
Bitch.
Pure paranoid. Pure out of his mind. Crazy, but maybe rightfully so, Andrew Ryan speaking over this speaker at you and talking to you directly. Now, I don't know if he knows who you are at this time. I don't think he does.
He doesn't figure it out until the end of the game.
So he thinks you're just a rogue agent coming through helping out Atlas, who isn't really Atlas.
He doesn't even know that. He thinks at this point that you're just someone trying to come and plunder Rapture.
Oh, that's right, because he thinks you're from the U.S. government.
He finally realizes that you're helping Atlas, I think, in 2 or 3 chapters into the game. And then when you finally get to Festus in the 5th chapter, I think is which one it is, that's when he realizes who you are. And you can pick up hints of that and clues as to what's really going on because of those audio diaries. And they do a really good job of building up into who Jack is, who Atlas is, and who Andrew Ryan is.
And on top of that, characters that you interact with, people who have lost their mind a little bit, they're still important later. They're still talking about Dr. Steinberg halfway through the fucking game.
Oh yeah, you'll still get audio logs from him too.
It doesn't end. So you've interacted, you've killed these people, and now you're hearing their history. So basically you're coming in there as an exterminator, and you don't know.
You promised me pretty, Steinman.
Well,
you promised me pretty.
But here's the thing. You don't know that you have been basically recruited in a way to take these people out. and you think they're against me, so I'm going to take them out. Well, that's not exactly what's going on.
Do you want to hit Sander Cohen first before we go into the big twist?
Let's talk about real quick. I think my favorite villain in this game is Sander Cohen because of the artistic, theatrical, over-the-top area of his level.
There's 2 points of his I love, and it's when you finally explaining what he wants you to do. You go down, you're going towards the bathysphere, and of course you know that something's going to happen because you're not going to be able to just walk from one area immediately into the other. Sander Cohen cuts your communication with Atlas and Andrew Ryan, so your radio is kaput.
And he's ready for your undivided attention.
Oh yeah, he has the bathysphere go down and the lighting changes to be more sensual. He's got masks and dancers and stuff up above you if you look up.
If you've ever seen the video for No More I Love Yous by Annie Lennox, I think it's fitting. Go watch that and then go watch Sander Cohen and it's a good match.
Yeah.
You've seen it?
I think so.
Oh, good sir. And it's stolen directly from it. Shoo-be-doo-be-doop-doop-doop. Ah.
I love the fucking thing he says too. He's like, Andrew, Ryan Atlas. Enough of those two dunderheads. Prepare for an evening with Sander Cohen.
And it's really cool because the one thing I like about Andrew Ryan, he's obviously Vincent Price. That's who he's modeled after, like a very extreme Vincent Price. This character also is kind of like that.
Yep,
Andrew
100%.
Ryan even has the cadence of Vincent Price. You'll know him from at the end of Thriller where he's like, ghouls and goblins through the night. That kind of voice is very theatrical. This character is ultra theatrical, and basically he's got a cast. All the splicers are like his minions, or maybe they were in his theater group, but he doesn't have a problem with killing them, and it's pretty fucking badass.
Sander Cohen?
Yeah, dude. He does what he wants. It's like the Joker.
I love the
I feel like he is the Joker.
Yeah, he's the Joker of this universe.
Yeah.
I mean, the fucking scene with the guy sitting at the piano, he's playing through, and Sander Cohen's, no, wrong, and he fucks it up a couple more times, and as you get closer, finally the piano just fucking explodes.
Right.
And he has you go take a picture of the guy's body.
And it's great. And on top of that there's so many nooks and crannies and backstages at that level, because you do have the big theater area, which is cool, but then you get to explore all the different stuff, and then the statues come to life. It's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah,
it's
half
out of
of them
horror
are
movie.
statues, half of them are just people covered in paint.
Yeah, it's so cool,
You know,
dude.
I can't help but wonder, though, if that's an idea for a plasmid they had at one point. Because there's so many of those statues around, I wonder if that's Sander Cohen's own personal plasmid, is maybe he can create statues. He turns these people to stone or coats them in so much paint that they're fucking frozen.
The option to kill him or let him go. How does that reflect in the game? It doesn't have a...
It does. It actually has a very big effect if you're going for completion. Did you kill him or did you not?
That motherfucker went out. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
That
of
was your
course
first
I killed him. I
mistake.
was like, you freaking flamingo bitch, and I smacked him.
That's your first mistake.
Oh, why?
So you can kill him and get the key to his muse, which he kind of teases you with a little bit.
Little tease.
Or you can choose to leave him standing there. He's just standing there admiring the art piece that you helped him make.
Right.
Now, I did this my first playthrough is I killed him. And I opened up the box and I was like, this is, okay, it's a muse. There's nothing great in there. It's not Adam. It's kind of like med kits and Evos and just utility shit.
Not the treasure you were looking for. It
No.
wasn't the da-na-na-na.
If you leave him alive, though, you can go into his apartment in Apollo Square, and there's actually, I think it's the 8th upgrade station, weapon upgrade station, is hidden up in his bedroom.
Damn.
And this was a cool scene that I found out in my most recent playthrough of it. You walk in, and he's over the radio, and he's like, oh, hey, I see you're in my home, and there's these two splicers waltzing. And he says, don't disturb them, don't, and he's kind of, again, that little tease. Well, you go disturb them, there's a record player sitting on top of a box of buckshot, electric buck, for your shotgun. You pick that up, the record player falls, the music stops, and they start attacking you. If you kill them, Sander Cohen shows up and goes, I told you not to mess with them, motherfucker, and you can fight him there. And then the upgrade station's in his bedroom. And you can go back and get his muse if you want.
Oh, so you get both.
You can get it all.
That's awesome. You do have to kill him the second time, though. Because he attacks you.
Because his bedroom will not open up unless you disturb the splicers. But they're fucking strong, dude.
Quick shout out to the second game, which actually takes place before the first game. Is that correct? I can't remember.
Kind of.
So there's the same kind of option in that where you have the man who is turned into the octopus creature or whatever, and you have the option to fight him or let him go. And I freed him, so I don't know what the battle would have been like. But I remember feeling good about my choice. I was like, yeah, you're good, buddy. But this motherfucker deserved to die. He deserved to die.
Oh, yeah, he was a total piece of shit.
Like I said, but one of the best characters in that game, highly memorable, and he's fun to listen to. Like I said, when he whacks soliloquies about God knows what, it's very Jokerish. and is very fun to listen to.
He's actually my second favorite character in that game.
All right,
first being Atlas.
Okay.
Because of the twist ending.
All right, let's talk about this real quick. Atlas, who's been your buddy this whole time, who's been chirping in your ear, he ain't really your friend.
No, you go through to Hephaestus and you find your way to Andrew Ryan's office. You're finally fucking there. You go in and you take this elevator up and you enter this large room, and Andrew Ryan actually starts the self-destruct sequence. He's going to sink Rapture. He's like, fuck you, I'm not going to let my city fall to some asshole.
It's my baby.
Yeah. So you go in and the door to his office is actually locked. You crawl through this vent, drop down, and suddenly you're in this big room with all these pictures and newspaper clippings and things, and it's very much like that conspiracy theorist meme, but in big red print.
Yeah.
It says, "Would you kindly" on the wall.
Right.
And there's a very important audio log there that you can miss, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you do, because it has a unseen character, Dr. Suchong, and he's talking to this little kid. And you hear this puppy barking in the background. He says, "Oh, it's a very pretty puppy you have there. Break that puppy's neck for me." And the little kid goes, "What? Break that little puppy's neck." And the kid starts sobbing, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? "Break that little puppy's neck. Would you kindly?" And then you hear the dog squeal as the kid's sobbing, and then it just clicks. And in your first playthrough through that game, when you got to that part, did you realize what that meant right there?
Yes.
Did you know what was going on?
Yeah, I put it together pretty quickly. I was like, oh, something ain't right up in here. And when you see the connections, because I think you see some of the flashes from the plane at the beginning of it, and you start going like, something's wrong. And you end up finding out two things here. This is right before you go face to face with Andrew Ryan, the creator of Rapture. You find out, first of all, are you a clone? What are you exactly? You are
Andrew Ryan's bastard son.
You are his
son.
son.
And there's a couple audio logs that allude to this in Fort Frolic, I think, where Andrew Ryan got with a stripper, she was pregnant, and if you actually go in one of the back rooms there in the strip club you see her dead corpse, blood, and all this shit.
But you see where they probably consummated the relationship, too, because isn't there a bed there and like all that stuff? So he's the bastard son.
He's the bastard child. You go into his office, and funny enough, the Vita chambers they are tuned to Andrew Ryan's DNA only. And there is a Vita chamber in his office, but Andrew Ryan deactivated it to make a point.
The second thing you find out is your memories aren't everything you thought they were. Nope. They've been implanted. I don't know or remember how they were implanted.
Suchong, it was through mental conditioning.
Everything was false that you thought was real. Basically, you've been in Rapture the whole time. And then you were sent off. I don't remember how that exactly works in the story.
I want to say you were sent out into the world for something, and then when you were called back, that was when you actually took over the plane, and in the box was a gun. You caused the plane to crash. You caused everything, and Atlas has been...
Well, you have the confrontation with Andrew Ryan where he basically tells you what's been going on. He says you are...
A man chooses, a slave obeys.
Yeah.
Would you kindly sit down? Would you kindly stand up? Would you kindly run? Would you kindly stop? And it was fucking jarring the first time I went through that. And what you didn't see
was Ethan was actually holding the golf club as he was saying it. The golf club that's going to be used here in a moment.
He was sitting behind this glass. It was like pretty much a blast shield type of pane of glass.
Right.
Playing golf and explaining all this to you. And then he comes out and he says, "Would you kindly kill?" And he makes you kill him and beat him with this 9-iron.
Is graphic.
Dude.
It's graphic.
And throughout all of this, he keeps saying, "A man chooses, a slave obeys."
Right.
And he's just driving that point home, and it's fucking insane.
And then I believe after this is when the reveal of the true villain of the game is. Atlas becomes...
You go through, you shut it down, Fontaine Futuristics takes over, and Atlas reveals, "Sorry, kid, but I guess I shouldn't keep lying to you. The name's Frank Fontaine."
And you're like, oh, fuck, not FF, motherfucker.
Yeah, throughout the whole game, they've been teasing he's been dead.
Yeah, and it's always... And he was Andrew Ryan's competitor, right?
Yeah, he was a mobster, and he moved to Rapture to get away from... Well, not only to get rich quick and take over, pretty much, but to escape persecution, if I'm not mistaken.
Once again, playing into all the politics of this game.
So when you got to the point after the Peach Williams boss fight, and you go into the submarine bay... What was your reaction to Atlas's family getting blown up?
I was bummed out. And also
did you genuinely believe it?
I believed it. Oh yeah, I totally bought it. Why would this guy be lying to me? You know what I mean? I'm a pretty trustworthy guy. I mean,
so
that's what I do.
Funny thing, in the remaster of the game, you can find director's commentary, and I'm sure it's on YouTube for free, but they go through and talk about different parts of the game and how they made it and how they came up with this idea and that. And one of the things they talk about is their voice actor pick for Atlas. And it's two different guys.
Oh.
One guy does the voice of Fontaine, the other guy does the voice of Atlas.
It was the same guy.
And yeah, they do a really good job of that because I believe the first accent they went for was like a southern drawl for Atlas.
Yeah.
And all the playtesters said that this guy is untrustworthy. He's gonna betray me.
Right.
And something about that Irish accent, it makes you think working man.
It makes you think yeah, it makes you think this is a good guy, blue collar kind of thing. Like, I see why they would do that.
So it was a really good change, and I
bought it. Hook, line, and sinker, man. But I bought it.
There's really cool lines in there that hint towards him being Fontaine, and I don't know if they did this on purpose, but he has a lot of expressions he say that are very American. And I mean, I guess you could say the whole American-Irish thing, but, you know, he references, what's the fucking 86th, or when you're getting put in the psych ward? Section 8.
Oh, I don't know. They call it 302 where I'm from because they almost did it to Duck.
I think it's Section 8. But yeah, he says, oh, Sander Cohen, he's a real Section 8, that guy, or whatever. And they're lighting it up like the 4th of July over here. And it's just little things here and there.
Show American flair to it. And then once you find out he's a mobster, hey, yeah, see.
Dude, Atlas is the coolest character in that game.
No doubt. As you can tell, we're not talking so much about the gameplay, because the gameplay's tight. It's everything it needs to be. It's
gorgeous.
But it's the immersion of this story that makes
invested.
You are Jack. You are Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan? That's funny because...
No, it's Jack something or other.
Jackal.
I think it's just
Jackal of all trades. But technically it's his son, so it would be Jack Ryan. Funny. But that's the thing, is you become so immersed in this story. And after this, I believe, is when you have the interaction with Tenenbaum in the orphanage with all the little sisters that you've saved. And you can actually... I can't remember how you get there. Maybe you get hit or something, but basically...
No, you go through... Little sisters actually help you escape, because Fontaine calls in these drones on you, and the little sisters...
Because he's done with you.
I think you can still get down there, even if you killed the little sisters, but probably there's some dialogue differences and whatnot.
Do you go through the portholes at that time? I can't remember how it works.
No, you go through like some air vents or something, and you fall down into the...
Into the orphanage, basically. Yeah. That's what I'm going to call it. And then you see the little sisters, you walk around, it's really cool lighting. Like, it's
Tenenbaum says, we got rid of some of that mind control stuff, but this is the last thing I'll go into hyper detail of, is you go up the stairs, and Fontaine goes, oh, you got mixed up with Tenenbaum, didn't you, kid? Well, fun's over, now would you kindly go get stepped on by a big daddy? And he's kind of going like, oh, fuck, that's not working anymore.
Yeah.
He says a new code phrase then, code yellow. And this was probably one of the coolest parts of the game. Your heart is stopping itself.
Oh, I forgot about
He says that phrase, and your health bar literally shrinks.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he says, I just told your heart to stop beating. It won't stop right away. It's a stubborn muscle, but it'll give in eventually. And periodically, as you go further into the level, your health bar just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
That's crazy. I forgot all about that. Story-wise, though, how do we get to the end? What happens in between that and the end? I think you said it earlier. You have to become the Big Daddy.
Yeah, very briefly, you go through and you break Fontaine's control over you, and he starts panicking. So he goes to Point Prometheus, I think is what it's called, and you cannot chase him because of this doorway, but Tenenbaum has the idea, hey, little sisters can go in there and unlock it for you. Little sister. So you have to literally become a Big Daddy. You go through, get the diving helmet, bodysuit, the boots.
Cool. It's so cool.
Your voice box, it goes in and they alter it. Like, they fucking drill into his throat and alter his throat so he sounds like a Big Daddy.
It's so cool.
And then you have to get the pheromones so you have that Big Daddy stink, because I guess they smell like ass. But
yeah. It's so cool, though, dude. Like, that part of the game is, like, one of my favorite parts, is just running through and getting the different pieces, and there's so many villains coming, so many splicers.
Oh, dude, that's the hardest part of the game.
Oh, dude, it's intense, and it's fun, and your heart's beating, and like you said, your heart's depleting.
You get the, at that point, your health is all the way back up. You're good. But you get the little sister, and you go into what's called the Proving Grounds. You have to follow the little sister around as she's gathering Adam from these corpses. This is where they were training the little sisters to go get the Adam.
And is at this point you see the world through their eyes, or is that the second game? Is it the first one? I can't remember.
They have a little bit of that in the first one.
Yeah,
but they touch on that more in the second.
The little sisters don't see the nightmare reality that is Rapture. They see the beauty that it once was. And everyone they see is perfect and beautiful. They see it the way it should be, the way everyone sees it, because they've been corrupted.
They were hypnotized to always be happy and peaceful and not freak out at this thing.
And they don't know that things are going bad. They think everything's fine. They're just part of this illusion. They've been changed over to it. But by freeing them, you break them of the illusion. And at the end of the game, when you're heading to Fontaine, what he wants to do is he wants all the atom.
Oh, dude, you go up that elevator and you can see he's in this big machine. He literally looks like fucking Atlas.
Yes.
Like all the images of Atlas in Greek mythology, he looks like that big, glowing, just hulk of a human that would be holding the weight of the world on his shoulders.
And he's changed, and his voice is deeper, and
he's injecting himself with Atom. He's so much Atom.
And then it comes on the big bad boss battle of the game.
How many times did you die in your first playthrough?
So many.
He's hard as fuck, dude.
He's hard as shit. Hard as shit, dude.
And it's so good. It's such a good battle because he always is changing plasmids like you. He's using your own shit against you.
Right. And then finally, when you take him out, you inject him to the point where
the way you're doing it is you're drawing the atom out of him.
Right.
Oh, you're literally sucking it out of him. You have to knock his health bar down all the way, so he'll go try to recharge. You go over, pull it out of him.
Yeah, get it
you got to do that a couple times until he finally dies. And he comes back, smacks your ass onto the ground, and just as he's about to kill you, the little sisters you saved come out. Little sister. And dude, that was the most intense scene in the game.
Love it.
Because they come out and they fucking start stabbing him.
The end of this game, what I love about this game is how you react to the little sisters is the ending you're going to get to the game. There's three, right?
I think so.
It might be four, but I know there's three, definitely. Go ahead.
Oh, what the fuck was I going to say?
Were you going to say, cry, little sister?
Yeah, I got him to do it finally, yes. Okay, I remember what I was going to say. So finally, Atlas is dead. You go out into the sunlight, and all the little sisters are there with you. They ride the bathysphere out, and they see sunlight for the first time in their life. And this game actually made me cry. Every time I go through it, I cry like a bitch at the end.
Did it make you
cry? But no, I cry like a bitch because, dude, the ending is just so good.
It is. We used to sing, cry, Jamie's sister, because she was hot.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
You go out into the sunlight and the little sisters see the light of day for the first time.
It's beautiful, dude.
And you reach your hand out and they fucking...
It's so good, dude. What you see after that is what makes that game. And you're right. I did cry little Ducky and you cried little Ethan.
Dude.
And it was amazing because...
It flashes through his whole life after Rapture.
What's so cool is the entire game you only see the hands. Just the same way we see life. Because not only are we connected... When I look outside of my orbital sockets, all I see is my hands. And that's what you see in this game the whole time. They don't show him. They don't show Jack. Maybe in a picture or something, they show a kind of picture of him.
They show one picture in the whole game.
You see his hands. And so when you see these children, these little sisters, you really do feel connected. And when you see them through the years, you see these hands get older and older, just the way we see our hands get older and older.
And the little sisters grow up along with it. You get to see them go through college. You get to see them get married and have kids.
And on your deathbed,
they're all there with you.
Oh, bro, I'm going to cry right now because it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
And, dude, like, it's... Through the whole game, you're being, like, especially at the end, you're being told you had no family, your life was a lie, all this.
Yeah.
But they're your family in the end.
They're your babies.
You saved their lives.
They're
there for you.
Unless you harvested them.
If you harvest them, then you just die on the ground by Atlas.
Pretty much. You get a bad ending where you see a stormy night and the thing, and it's like Tenenbaum goes like, you rat bastard. But play it for the good ending. Play it for that because that's the heart and soul of this game.
Of this game, that is the only choice you truly have.
Right.
And
I love it.
That's what makes it great is you don't have a choice except where it matters.
And also, ladies, we're single if anyone's looking, and we're good guys. That's all I'm going to say.
We saved the little sisters. I trust you.
We saved the little sisters, and also just, we're good guys. We're family guys. We're just, we're not camera, we're the family. But yes, so Bioshock as a whole, how do you feel about it? What is your rank of in this game?
Bioshock is a modern-day Metroidvania in my eyes. It mixes first-person shooter with horror, with adventure.
Backtracking,
Dude.
We didn't really talk about, but there is a lot of backtracking. Not a lot.
It's self-contained,
some.
but it's done really well. It is one of the greatest games ever made, and it is on my top 10 list. This is a solid S-tier game.
That's all I wanted to hear. Solid S.
This is a gilded in gold and diamond platinum, just bathed in the finest of gems S. I cannot recommend this game enough.
I think it sucks.
Fuck you!
It's a terrible fucking game. No, dude, it's totally... I'm going to change my ranking, though. It's not an S. It's not only an S. It's an S with a... Cry, little sister! At the end
S
of it.
for cry, little sister!
This game is perfection. You need to play it. It is a modern classic. It's the very reason where you get into the debate of, are video games art? Do video games elicit an emotion out of you? This game is art. This game is art. That is why it's been redone into the HD. I think it stands up. Some people will complain about the mechanics and how it's an old school shooter. You don't need to change it. It's a piece of time. Give us some updated graphics. Give us that 60
It's
FPS.
not supposed to feel like Halo. It's not supposed to feel like that. It's its own thing.
It's its own thing.
And yes, it does have some rough points. There's some parts where you can get totally screwed over by enemies. It's not perfect. No game is. With this one, my only big complaint is the actual interface, the menus. They're pretty shit.
Oh.
And when you have to use them, it really drops the ball. Like Arcadia, when you have to go get the ingredients to make the Lazarus vector. I mean, it just kind of goes, okay, I'm not holding your hand anymore.
And also on top of that, Pipe Dream that you have to play over and over.
Yeah, it gets
over,
really old really fast. But
over and over again. But you know what?
All that aside,
Minor.
It's minor shit. It's still fun to go explore. It's still fun to see how war-torn Rapture is after this civil war it's pretty much been through.
And get into that game. Get the immersion of that game is outrageous. It is an experience unto itself. First game I played, 2 settings. Played the whole way through, probably 20-hour play, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
The second game I played the day after that, I played that game straight from beginning to end on a single sitting because I was so...
You were off that Bioshock high.
Dude, I was mainlining that bitch.
You were like, all right, let's go. Plasmid right here.
Cry, little sister. So S tier for me all the way. Gotta play it. Listen, we appreciate you checking this out so much. Other than that, this has been Duck. I've been here with
Ethan.
And you ain't Billy Mitchell, bitch.
It don't matter how much you splice. You ain't Billy Mitchell, bitch.
Made a bitch. And there it is. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you have enjoyed it, please do not forget, share with your friends. That is how we grow the network. And if this is your first time listening, head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, and give We Are Podcast a like. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, you're going to love the other podcast here on the We Are Podcast Network. We have We Are Era, where we talk about movies, entertainment, whatever the fuck we want to talk about. That's me, that's Jake, that's Hobby. We're breaking down pop culture, and we're having a blast. Don't forget Heroes Gyros, a Dungeons and Distraction side quest. Me and the boys were sitting down, we're playing some D&D. We're having so much fun. You can go and start that from the beginning of the journey, Season 1, Episode 1. You're going to love it all the way through. And finally, I Hate Being Sober. Personal stories from epic people. I'm going to sit down with some of the most epic people I've ever met in this world, and we're going to talk about their life, we're going to talk about their trials and tribulations, and we're just going to talk about their journey this far. Head on over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /We Are Podcast. Also, head over to the Facebook group, We Are Era. We would love to see you in that group. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed the podcast today, share it with your friends. That's the only way we can grow this network. But with that said, I have to remind you, I can never let you forget this. You ain't Billy Mitchell, bitch. So stop trying. We'll see you next time.